in order to be successful, in order to become wildly successful, you don't need much. You just need a simple idea that works, right? You don't need to know 5 billion different things, right? You could just, if you take one thing that works, right? I would say that the key to business is,
I try to aim for a book a week, and audiobooks help. And I can probably get 2 or 3 books done with that a week. But the only thing that I see that's an issue is that I could be spending more time doing like cold calls or trying to find more deals or anything like that. But it's like, how would I basically, like, I guess trying to have the good ratio of learning and being active, because I guess like one day I'll have, I'm just learning a lot more. And then other days I'll be working a lot more. I'm just trying to find a good ratio with that.
I have this rule called the 70-30 rule, which is you should consume 30% of the time and produce 70%. That's the ratio that I think is beneficial. With that said, also, one way to think about this is like Lego blocks. You don't need to buy the new Lego set every time. You could build anything with just the basic blocks if you've got some of the basic blocks. But you could be like, oh, I should buy this Death Star Wars set. You could already build that from the basic blocks. Like, you don't need that. It's nicely packaged. You get the kind of analogy I'm making. Like, you only need a certain number of Lego blocks in order to build anything. If you've ever been to Legoland, you see the kind of crazy stuff they build with Legos. So too many people focus on too much stuff to have this broad knowledge of all of these things. For example, in real estate, one of the great things, Seneca talked about this in his letters on Stoic philosophy. He was like, read, study other people, like learn, but then produce your own, write your own books, write your own philosophy in life. Stop counting on other people's, right? And so once you have enough Lego blocks, most of the shit that I figured out in life and that I teach is shit that I figured out, that I had enough Lego blocks. And then I sat there with a spreadsheet and I was like, oh yeah, this is why this makes sense to invest this way. This is right. And that's better knowledge for a couple of reasons. One, because it didn't just come from someone else. I truly deeply understand it because I made it up myself. And two, it's simplified. Like I can execute on that thing. I don't need some other instruction on that. I know that it's true because it came from a source from my own brain. So we need to spend a lot more time pondering, like figuring out solutions for life. There's so much information out there that we don't think about how to really, really solve our problems. And so even a lot of the stuff that I figured out on dating advice, obviously I've read books, I've listened to the guys that have good information on that. But a lot of it, I just kind of thought out myself and pondered my philosophy for life, discipline, all these things. I figured this thing out myself. Like, just for instance, there was this thing that I posted about the difference, like, be a kind guy, not a nice guy. A nice guy is someone who does something in order to get something, is they're people pleasing. A kind guy is someone who does it out of no obligation. They do it for the sake of doing it. Kindness is good. Being nice is bad. Nice is trying to please someone. Being kind is doing things because you want to do them. That's something that I just sat and thought about for a long time. And I realized, oh, that's a fundamental truth. This is how the world works. There's nice guys and there's kind guys, and being kind is good. Because I was thinking about, why is it so bad to be a nice guy, right? No one told me those things. And said, I just sat with the idea, thought about it, and came up with that. And so you come up with the best stuff that you synthesize yourself. So like the information I'm giving you guys, it's good. This is my wisdom, my philosophy in life. And what it should do is it should be like a starter kit. I'm giving you seeds. I'm not giving you the whole plant and the fruit. These are my fruits. I'm giving you my fruits. And what you're going to do with my fruits is you're going to get the seeds from my fruits and you're going to plant them and you're going to grow your own plants and produce your own fruits. You can't rely on my fruits. If you rely on my fruits, then it's the same thing as teaching a man to fish. You have to keep on getting fruits from me. Granted, I want you guys to be here. I want you guys to be in the membership. I love having you guys here and learning from me. But my goal is not to give you fruits. It's to give you the fruits so that you can get the seeds from them and plant them. And that's what you guys got to be thinking about all the time as you're taking information. You don't need so much information. If you've got enough Lego blocks to build something, start building that thing and start actually producing. What you're going to find, again, if you start writing a book on real estate investment or making a course or making videos or whatever, in some way teaching that, you would learn more from that than you would from someone else at this point. Because as you're thinking about this and thinking about how to explain things, you're going to have all these aha moments. You're going to be like, you already got all the pieces you need. And the last part about this whole thing is, guys, in order to become wildly successful, you don't need much. I would say that the key to business is find one thing that works and do it over and over again. That's it. If I can find one product that I can sell and I know how to sell that product and I know where to find the person to sell it, all I got to do is just do it over and over again. Then I will make millions of dollars. But we make things too complicated. Same thing with the real estate investment. One investment strategy that works. If you've got one investment strategy that gets you 25 or 30% returns, do you really need some other one? No, like that's plenty of returns. Like you can become plenty rich and wealthy from getting 20 to 30% returns on your money consistently over time. So just repeat that thing over and over again. It's fun to learn. Like now where the broad knowledge comes in is it's good to listen to a couple audiobooks a week. That's great. But you're not worrying about absorbing all this information and executing on this. It's just a survey of the land, just so you have wisdom. So you're like, I know what's going on over there. I know the lay of the land of all these things. And so you've got a little bit more Lego blocks to work with, but you got to focus on your core stuff and produce. Every single one of you guys, you're not going to get the benefit of the fruits that I'm giving you if you don't plant the seeds. And it's not just taking action, because taking action is good, but it's actually growing your own plant, which means that you're producing and giving fruit to other people, because that's where you really start to gain wisdom. That's where wisdom comes from. It comes from a deep understanding, because you have knowledge, which transfers to understanding, which is when you teach it to others. And then when you really internalize that and can apply it to a very broad perspective, that's when it becomes wisdom. And then it crosses disciplines. And that's what you really want to seek out. So produce. Even if you guys feel like you're not ready, share what you're learning and start producing, because that's what's going to cause those plants to grow. And then you're going to start to bear the fruit, because there's so many people, and you guys know this, in the self-help industry. A lot of you guys are productivity, self-help junkies. And that's great, because I am too, but it's got to be 70-30. You have to spend 70% of your time. You have to value yourself and your philosophy in life above other people's and take that in, because otherwise you can absorb all this information. You guys know people who are self-help and productivity junkies, and they don't ever get anywhere in their life. They efficiently do nothing. They don't accomplish big things. It's so important that you take the action, that you say, all right, it's great. It's mental masturbation to be like trying to get self-help stuff all the time and trying to learn all this stuff, because you're not. And again, I'm not saying you're not taking action. Obviously, you're taking massive action. It's awesome. But just, I'm saying this kind of for the benefit of everyone, is keep this perspective in mind, and that's going to serve you well. And
when you said becoming wiser from what you're learning, is there certain questions that you ask? Let's say you learn something new from somebody. I'm thinking like, how would you journal this? Or like, how would you question it to make it like a nice thick, like something wise in your head that you can explain to somebody else?
I mean, you integrate it into your philosophy. You look at it and you say, how does this fit? What can I expand upon on this? How can I dive deeper into this? What is the root principle here? And how does this apply to my life? And then you use that in something that, when you're talking to someone else, when you're working with someone else, and something that you produce, that's how you integrate that in.
Yeah. You just gave me a good analogy, because I guess what I've been doing is what Lincoln said. It's about trying to sharpening up the axe. But now that you're explaining, it's like, well, if I keep on sharpening it, right? One, I won't have the time. It'd be nighttime and I can't even like cut down the tree. Or two, the axe might break because I just kept on sharpening it. Over time, it's like, there's no use for it. And you just clicked in my head right now. Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you, John.
Yeah, I've got a course in Simple Programmer called 10 Steps to Learn Anything Quickly. And my process for learning things quickly summarizes this. The very first thing you do is you get a broad perspective of what you're trying to learn, just so you have a lay of the land. Just browsing, just maybe reading a table of contents of a couple of books, trying to figure out what is the thing. And then the second thing that you really do is you come up with a focus. What is the objective? Like, why are you learning this? What are you trying to accomplish? And then the third thing, which is most important, is you dive in and try it before you read anything or learn anything from anyone. You just go for it. Let's say that you're going to try to create a YouTube channel. This is how you guys should really do it. As you should just do a little bit of research on what kind of YouTube channels exist. How do people make videos? Just a little bit of just get a lay of the land. Then you should say, this is what I want to do. This is why I want to learn how to create a YouTube channel, or to do this is I want to have this outcome, or this is what I want to be able to do. Then just start recording a video and put it out there and try to edit without learning how to edit. Just download some software and just play around with it. Now, what happens in that process in doing things that way is that you have a ton of questions. You're like, oh, how does this work? Should I do it like this? Am I doing the right thing here? Does this make sense? Now you go and research. Now you go and read the book. Now you go and take the course or the tutorial or the video. And now when you're watching the video or you're reading the book, you're like, yeah, I ran into that problem. All this shit that is important sticks out to you because it's answering your questions, and you retain and remember that. And you've already made so much advancement on your own before. What most people do is they do the opposite. They say, I want to learn something. let me go buy a course. Let me go read the book. And they go and buy the course, or they read the book and they study, sharpening the axe. And then when they go to actually execute on it, they don't even know where to execute, and they don't remember any of the stuff they read or the course because they don't know what's important, because they haven't faced a struggle yet, right? If you're facing a struggle and I give you the answer to your struggle, you're going to remember that. But if I just give you a bunch of answers to all kinds of struggles in life, it might feel good. You might look, yeah, motivation, John, yeah, awesome. But you're not going to remember any of that shit. It's better that you struggle first and then you get the answer to your struggle. And so think about that. That's a real quick learning hack. Just dive into the deep end. And everything I do in life, when I started trying to run for a marathon, I didn't go and hire a coach and figure out how to run for a marathon. I just started figuring out, I was just like, let me just try this. Let me see this. And then after I had done that myself, then I started researching it. And then I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I could see that. It all clicked and made sense to me. That's the approach that it's hard, because when you do that approach, you're going in not knowing what you're doing. We struggle with that. But if you do that approach, you'll learn way faster. And then you'll integrate that knowledge so much better. So
I love it. Thank you, John.
Guys, that was an excerpt from the Bulldog Mindset membership live stream. We do one of those every single month for Bulldog Mindset members, and it's definitely a great place to get any kind of questions you have answered. There's usually some great discussions on there. We talk about a lot of different topics on motivation, on mindset, on dating, on fitness, and on investing. So definitely check that out. If you haven't, click the link down below and you can join the Bulldog Mindset membership trial for just $7 for the first month. Really an excellent deal, considering you get access to the full library of Bulldog Mindset content, which there's a new video every single week, as well as these live streams, book summaries, a book club, a bunch of different features and extra bonuses that you get for being a Bulldog Mindset member. So click the link down below, join us for $7 for the first month.